Got it. I love that
Well,
method.
good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Synergy Group Power 30 with our special guest, none other than the amazingly wonderful, awesome, make shit happen, kick-ass, take names, Pam Junge.
It's quite an introduction, Joe. Thank you, though. I
Well,
appreciate it.
I was going to go longer, but I could tell it was going to start to get uncomfortable. So anyway. So today in our Power 30 meeting, Pam is going to share with us all the takeaways that she brought back from the Inman conference. And so, Pam, do you have anything you want to say before I fire through a series of questions that I have set up for the call?
No, other than, it's a super interesting time right now, right? So, I felt more compelled than ever to get in a room with 4,000 or 5,000 other like top producers and really get a feel for what everyone else is saying, where they think we're going. These conferences are always fun, but we all kind of had a little bit of a different attitude this time.
It is interesting when you collect people from all over the country and kind of get that mind meld, that mind share, that you're able to start hearing things that maybe you've been curious about or trends that you're starting to see, and then confirming it in other markets. And then, of course, how they're handling it, which is always good. So, well, let's get started and just start with the basics. I mean, we've got some people that are newer to the industry here, so let's start right at the beginning. What is Inman?
Right. That's a great place to start. Inman is probably one of the leading resources for all real estate news. It was founded by Brad Inman, he was a real estate journalist for San Francisco Examiner back in the day. And I like to think of Brad as kind of like akin to Glenn Sanford, because really Brad is a tech guy who just happens to love the vehicle of real estate, always fascinated by real estate, right? So Brad started Inman. His flagship conference is Inman Connect, which happens twice a year. I've been attending them for probably the last 5 years. New York City in January, and then in our hometown every summer we have Inman Connect Las Vegas, which is kind of fun. It's usually at the Aria, and it's set up in such a way that you got 3 or 4 days where you're running tracks. You've got your general session, and then you're running tracks, so you can actually pinpoint exactly what you as an agent or a leader in your company want to learn about, whether that's how to run a team, whether that's getting better with technology, lead generation, marketing, social media, whatever you want to learn about, you can follow the tracks such that you really get out of it exactly what you came for. And then, the marketing, like you said, we're literally communing with 4,000 to 5,000 top producers, CEOs, the owners of the companies, watching them on stage and learning and growing together. And it's, we have fun too.
Well, there's always time. You get a bunch of realtors together. There's a couple of things you can guarantee. 1, food, and 2, fun, right?
Right.
So that's awesome. Well, I'm glad you shared with who also attends on that. So who were the who's who this year that showed up on the stage?
It was everybody from Ryan Serhant, who he was, what was the TV show where the reality TV show, Millionaire? I don't remember, but Ryan Serhant is a huge player for anybody that follows him out of New York City, all the way to Glenn Sanford, our very own founder and CEO. We had a huge presence from EXP, Joe. You'd have been so proud. And one thing that was really notable to mention is that you had mentioned earlier about when you get all these people from all around the country collectively in one place to hear what everybody's talking about, mindset, where they're at, how their business is doing. One thing that reigned true from all of the EXP representation is that we're still doing business. Has the market changed? Yes. However, we work for this cloud company where we don't have to pivot like larger franchises do. We're given all these tools and resources. So that was cool. Some of the players that showed up from EXP was, let me find her name here. Michael Perna, he's our strategy officer for EXP. He shared the stage with some really heavy hitters. We also had powerhouse Kathy Helbig-Strick. If you guys don't know her, she runs a mega team. Another mega team leader is Veronica Figueroa. If you guys out there don't know Veronica Figueroa, find her on Workplace, follow her, pick her brain. She's an incredible team leader, and she gives her information away to everybody. If you're even thinking of growing a team or you want to become a better leader, Veronica is an incredible person to go to, and everybody from, the owner of CoStar, so it's
where can we find more information on her? Like where would we be able to?
On Veronica, go on Workplace.
Okay.
And search her up and follow her. She's incredible.
So to remind everybody, Workplace is an exclusive EXP tool to where we all collaborate and share. And in this case, you get to hear from one of the best sharing how it's done. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And just another little tidbit on Workplace. I assume everybody's on Workplace because I love Workplace. So I just assume everybody's on it. There's groups on Workplace for everybody, right? So it doesn't matter what your niche is or what you do. There's even a group for people that love dogs. So, there's referral networks on there. There's a Las Vegas referral network. If you want to get closer to your broker and find out what your broker is doing, there's a Southern Nevada network on there. There are groups for everything. So finding referrals, getting referrals, KV Core for Dummies is on there. If you want to be better at KV Core, anything and everything you could possibly want to know about this company, that's our brain. That's where you want to plug in. I promise you.
Well, and to echo that sentiment, Tina just chatted in there that she's always doing training. Veronica is always doing trainings in the world as well. And so what I want to make sure everybody on this Power 30 series hears, you're not out on an island. There is information everywhere. And here's Pam traveled across the country to go hear this information, right? And we can log in and hear it in the world, look at it on Workplace, right? So make sure for those of you that stinking thinking where your brain's trying to tell you, it's not going to work, you get in there and you get the information to show you how you can succeed in a changing market. So
that's so smart to really touch on, Joe. And, I know that maybe some of the people listening to this Power 30 aren't actually in the EXP network, whether it's EXP Realty or EXP Commercial, but we have some of the most accessible leaders. So somebody asked me the other day, hey, how did you get to go to the NASDAQ bell ring ceremony? And I was like, I know that Jason, yeah. I'm like, I know that Jason Gessing and Glenn Sanford are going to be in New York City at the same time I am because they're showing up on stage at Inman Connect. So I chatted up Jason Gessing and I was like, hey, let's get a coffee. I spent 2 hours face-to-face with Jason Gessing in New York City, one of the most accessible leaders you've ever met. I mean, I'm just out here in Las Vegas trying to close some deals, selling some real estate, doing my thing. And he carved out 2 hours for me. And that's how accessible our leaders are.
That's a tremendous testimony considering, the distance and probably the amount of activities and things they had to do. But that does speak to the leadership, their approach about being approachable, about being available, leading from within, not like just being off in the distance, firing out emails like most traditional companies will do at that size. So, right. Now you mentioned Glenn Sanford. Now he was on stage at Inman. So what were some of your takeaways from what Glenn had to share?
Just another, incredible man. So it was just Jason and Brad Inman on stage all alone. And Brad wanted him for himself. And he wanted to talk about the blueprint for the future in leadership. Right. And I think that speaks testimonies to our leader, to our founder. When Brad Inman says, I want to talk to you, because you're the guy I want to learn about, I want to learn from in how to lead a company, right? I'm the only person I want on the stage is you, Glenn Sanford.
Wow.
It was pretty cool.
Think about how many CEOs, presidents, founders of every possible brand in real estate, in mortgage, et cetera, both residential, commercial. I mean, just think, and that's who we wanted one-on-one on the stage.
One-on-one, Glenn Sanford. And so it was interesting. They talked about the future of leadership, and nobody's downplaying that we're in a shifting market, right? Nobody downplays that at all whatsoever. But what's so brilliant about Glenn is there's several things. I mean, for one, I think he just announced that he is now taking over the CEO role again of EXP World Holdings. And he's doing that very much on purpose and intentionally because he's always been an agent-centric, agent-focused leader. However, he's really concerned about our well-being. He's very concerned about the well-being of his 86,000 agents. We might even be 87,000 now, I'm not sure. And he wants to be more in the trenches with us. He wants to make sure that we can continue to thrive. He knows that there's going to be some attrition in the market overall for real estate agents. So he's making sure he's creating vehicles for us to survive and be healthy, all the way from our technology platforms to incorporating a new company where maybe there's some part-time agents out there who they don't have the time necessary to really dig in this type of market and make changes so that they can stay active and fruitful. So he's developed the referral company for a lot of agents. You don't have to get rid of your license. You don't even have to put your license on ice. You can make a lot of money just doing referrals, and it's a very easy transition for some people, and it's to keep them healthy and active. The other thing he really cares about is our health.
Tell me more about that.
Well, he feels like some of us could be under a little pressure right now, right? Some of us could be a little nervous. Some of us could be watching the news, getting way too much negative information. And can I cuss on this thing? Should I dance a bit? So he's worried about our health. He's worried about our stress levels, anxiety, and our actual physical health. So he's partnered with a company called Viome, which they launched at EXPCon. And I was absolutely intrigued. And I'm kind of like a little bit of a health nut. And basically what Viome does is it's a way to biohack your system. So you take blood samples and all these other samples and you turn them in. And what Viome does, it biohacks your system and it tells you these are exactly the vitamins and nutrients your body needs, Pamela Junge, because you're deficient here and here and here. And we want you to run and operate smoother, because the truth of the matter is, listen, it all kind of starts here, right? It's all physical and mental health. And so we're either going to be more successful in our business or we're going to be held back because maybe we're tired when we wake up in the morning. Maybe this extra stress is really getting to us and you could be internalizing it, and it could be sabotaging transactions. It could be sabotaging conversations. It could be depressing sometimes, right? So all the way to partnering with this company, Viome. So I mean, Joe, honestly, it was $120 or something like that for me to get that information.
It's so, first of all, it's so in alignment with everything else that Glenn has brought into the EXP world about how does this benefit the agents, right? How does this make you better? And you're right. I mean, anytime there is a change or any kind of disruption in the market one way or another, it seems to me that the media takes advantage of that and plays the scare tactics. And if you're paying attention to that, then that puts more stress and pressure on you. And here's a solution on how to help work with that to make sure, if nothing else, your body's not, deficient in things to where it stops you or prevents you from doing your job. That is a great share. And so if somebody wanted to find out more about it, where would we be able to find out more?
You know what? Hit me up personally.
Okay, how do you spell the name of the company?
V as in Victor, IOME.
Bio. And
yep.
And it cost you $120?
It was like $120 through the EXP affiliation to get my testing done. And I think I spent another $120 for my supplements every month. But Joe, here's the truth of the matter. Like when I was delivered this information from Glenn, I was already rethinking my entire life. I had a shoebox of supplements that I used to take every day. And I'm like pulling out the vitamin D, the B's, the this, the that, like the whole entire alphabet in the shoebox. And I was thinking to myself for the longest time, I don't even know if I need this. Like, I'm taking these supplements, but I'm not even sure if I need this, right?
Well,
So this,
you know what you created with that shoebox?
what?
Very expensive urine, right? Because if you're taking supplements that your body doesn't need, it's not using it.
Exactly, straight through the system.
So not only are you utilizing the health benefits, you're actually putting in what the body needs or what it requires.
Right. And by no means, I like, I don't get paid for endorsing Viome. I'm just saying, these are some of the things that Glenn Sanford is concerned about, right? He's also concerned about creating, he said, one of the biggest downfalls of the real estate industry and the platform of a traditional franchise company is that it just provides no retirement for their agents, right? I've been pretty fortunate in my lifetime because my husband has always been like stable career, retirement, 401ks, all that great insurance. He's always provided health insurance for our family. So I feel very blessed, but I do have a lot of agents that work for me and on my team and with me that I worry about for them. Can they go to the dentist? If something happens, are they going to be covered? So he's, we know put in place a lot of vehicles for us to be able to have additional streams of income through growing our companies. Like he wants us to be autonomous under the umbrella of EXP World Holdings, right?
Love it.
And so made that very possible for us. And I have the opportunity to grow as big as I want to or not. You have that opportunity. Everybody that works for EXP World Holdings has that opportunity. And it's a pretty cool thing when you get money dumped in your bank account every month for no other reason than helping people be successful. I mean, I don't mind it.
I don't mind it. Yep.
Yeah.
Dump trucks are my favorite.
I'm not hating on it.
Back them up and drop it in.
So exactly. And, and the stock shares and all the other things. So, it's been where other traditional franchise companies are having a much harder time pivoting while the market shifts and contracts and changes. EXP World Holdings just doesn't have that type of issue, right? So it was encouraging to hear him from the stage. It was encouraging to hear that he cares so much about us, that he's willing to walk the trenches with us and make sure that he can help us be as successful as we can be.
So let me switch a little bit. We're going to stay on the stage, but you had experts there. Gurus, analysts, et cetera, et cetera. What are they saying about the market in general? You started in the beginning saying nobody's downplaying the slowdown, right? I mean, that was an eventuality that had to happen. So what were your takeaways that would help all of us?
I have two words. It's complex. It's complex, right? I mean, listen, Joe, not to age myself, I've been doing this for 35 years. And so, we would have, you have different viewpoints on the stage. You have your economists. We had a panel of incredible economists that get up there and, they can give you all the stats and they can give you all the data. However, the truth of the matter is when you overlay cultural needs, just housing needs, industrial where rooftops are going and everything else over all of the economic stats and data, the truth of the matter is that we just still have a shortage of inventory, right? And we're seeing a little bit of relief in rental rates. However, even though we're seeing relief in rental rates, now we're seeing confidence in multifamily builders as well. They're getting back in the game, right? We know that, interest rates are a little bit higher than they have been in the past. However, when I got in the game in the late 80s, interest rates were 12 and 14%, Joe.
Yep.
I went from high school to a desk at a title company and I learned real estate. I reverse engineered my education into real estate. This is like embarrassing to admit, but Joe, I was 17 years old and I didn't know you could walk in a bank and get a loan because nobody did it.
Right.
I just thought houses came with loans because everybody was assuming everyone else's loans.
Yeah, because it had a nice and low interest rate already on it.
Exactly. So we traded a lot of real estate with interest rates that were much more severe than they are today.
But wait, you mean like 6% is not the end of the world?
I'm telling you, it's not the end of the world, right? We have to just get a little bit more creative. Real estate transactions will change a little bit, but the truth of the matter is that everybody still needs a home. We still have a shortage of an inventory, specifically in Las Vegas. Like Las Vegas is its own economic hub. I think that you have to be responsible and listen to the macro information out there, but you got to take that macro information with a grain of salt if you're conducting real estate in Las Vegas. We are our own economic hub. We do not operate or walk with the rest of the world. We just don't. We're very unique and we're very special.
Well, you start, touching on that, you talk about the in-migration, right? The Lead Institute is projecting that we're going to average 45,000 new residents a year for the next several years. Then it's going to drop down to like 44,000, 42,000. I mean, that's over the next decade. And all the home builders kind of hit the brakes 6-8 months ago on expanding. They offered bonuses so they could sell what they had on hand. And now they're back doing them onesie, twosie at a time. They're not going to get out ahead. And we still have things like now Formula One that just signed for another 10 years, right? We've got the Super Bowl coming up this year. I mean, just think of the events, the conferences that are expanding. And if you haven't been down to the conference, the convention center, excuse me, and that massive expansion they did right before the pandemic. I mean, that is a game changer in terms of that many more people coming into town. That's huge.
I don't know if you know this, our tourism and our hotel revenue, casino revenue is already better than pre-COVID. We've surpassed it.
Already.
There's no vacancy in the hotel rooms. Our gaming has surpassed pre-COVID. So we're doing fine in Las Vegas. It's harder to help people buy houses. And I don't want to sound non-empathetic by any means whatsoever. I get it. It's a little more difficult for people to buy houses in Las Vegas.
Hold on. No, I disagree. I think it was harder to buy houses when you're competing against 20 hedge funds paying cash.
I was just going to say that.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I didn't mean to jump in.
All you have to do is, perspective is everything, right? Here's the other thing that came off of the stage is that you've got professionals and, big heavy hitters in this industry, if you will, that are projecting that some of these big hedge funds that lost a lot of money buying all these properties, we don't know if we're going to start seeing some of them get unloaded. Inventory can shift so fast right now with technology. We've never had big hedge funds and institutional buyers in the market like we have had in the past 5 years.
My belief is if they do off them, they will be off market. They will be sold in bulk to whether it be insurance funds, REITs, whatever. That's how they finished out the REO market. They stopped bringing them to the public. They'd bundle them and say, here's, $50 million worth of homes in Las Vegas, right?
For companies. Yeah, absolutely. And here's the other thing in Las Vegas, just keeping it local off of Inman for a second, is that, we've always said that if we're going to be able to keep up with housing, our government authorities, whether it's the city or the county, they're going to have to let us go vertical, right? We're running out of land here, right? Well, if you look around, they are. I'm out here in the Southwest off of Buffalo and 215. And I could look across the way at 5-story apartments.
Yep.
So we're getting better with, land usage and, there's a lot of other things that come into play in Las Vegas too. Like green space is a big thing, right? With our developers like to see parks within communities, especially when you don't have large yards and, smaller plots. But now we're building rooftops and they're like, there you go.
There's your green space up top.
On your roof.
So I want to get to something real quick that you had shared briefly with me, that CoStar made a big announcement in terms of their acquisition of Realtor.com. What did you hear? What are your thoughts? Love to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, so it was interesting. So, CoStar made the official announcement that they were buying Realtor.com, which is, that's the flagship home website. You know, it's been around forever, and it's the gold standard, realtor.com, when it comes to looking for properties, probably. However, that already turned out to be a non-starter, because I think it was just last week they announced they're bagging that plan and they're not buying realtor.com. But with that being said, Andy, the CEO of CoStar, you know, he's already got a monopoly on the commercial market, right? With CoStar, LoopNet, and he also purchases a lot of other smaller sites, if you will, and just kind of like takes all that data lake of information and puts it in CoStar and LoopNet. He's already dominating the rental market with apartments.com, does the same exact thing. They buy tech companies like I buy shoes, you know?
That means they've got a lot of them.
I had 152 pair of shoes in my closet, but they buy tech companies like I buy shoes, and they take that data lake of information and they just keep getting stronger. The interesting thing with CoStar is a total pay to play platform. Okay. So when I advertise a piece of commercial real estate, I have to, you know, I pay several $100,000s of dollars a month to be able to belong to CoStar. Then when I want to advertise a property, I got to pay to play, right? The price goes. Now, that's actually how real estate operates in like Australia and some other countries. There's typically one agent in a transaction, and that's the listing agent, and it's on pay-to-play platforms. Buyers are typically unrepresented for the most part in those transactions. So there's been talk in the last couple of years, knowing that it's Andy's intention in dominating the residential market. Like, will he become the MLS? You know, is he that powerful? You know, the truth of the matter is, if anything happens, it's not going to happen tomorrow. And I don't care what happens with technology. You can never remove the agent from the transaction. I don't care where technology goes.
Yeah, anytime you have buyers and sellers and emotions, you need somebody in between them, like a big fluffy pillow, to keep them from killing each other and killing themselves. So that's without question. All right, so Pam, we're coming up to the top of our 30 minutes. This went like fast and furious. I know I had a couple other questions that we're going to talk about, but really, I just want to turn it over to you for your closing thoughts on whatever you want to share, whether it be from Inman, from your, you know, decades and decades of experience. Just, you know, share some pearls. Here's Pam Junge, closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts, ChatGPT, right? That was big topic all over the place. And, you know, the only thing I can say is that, you know, don't buy the hype too much. Agents out there, we're using chat in our team all the time now. I got to tell you, I don't even like to write a listing description anymore, because chat does it way better than I ever would. I'm like, this is brilliant. I mean, forget about copywriting. Like, the world is changing so exponentially fast right now, but there's a lot of companies out there that are going to try to sell you programs because chat's going to, like, you know, make you $1 million. Well, it's not, but I'm also not saying it's not an incredible tool to support us and just elevating our marketing. And, you know, now when we're at chat, I think we're at 3.0 right now. 4.0 will come out. I don't know when, probably before the end of the year. 4.0 is going to be like super crazy. The artificial intelligence and the learning capability is like 1 trillion times faster. And so, you know, it's going to make things easier for us as far as like descriptions, getting in touch with people, figuring out who you are. I know we're past time. The only other thing I want to say is, like, the message from the stage, it's more important than ever right now. This was echoed everywhere by everybody. Be genuine, be yourself. If you're nervous about your real estate business right now, don't try to be anybody else. When you are authentic, when you can come from your true vibe, your niche, what your specialty is, your tribe will find you. So don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Know your worth, find your niche, work on it every single day, get back to the basics. Where technology seems like it's taking over our life, it's the basics that are going to drive your business. Every professional on the stage said it. Educate, lead gen, follow up, be yourself. Your tribe will find you. You got this.
Pam, what a closing conversation. I mean, flames, fire, fireworks, like boom, boom. Drop the mic, whatever you're going to do. And I want to add right on top of that for the people that are new. If you're lacking in confidence, sell the Synergy community. You have a community of people around you ready to help you, support you. We got great leaders all over. So even though maybe you're a year or 2 years in the business, maybe you're less, and if you don't know, you just say, listen, I've surrounded myself with the best of the best in the industry. And then you pick up the phone, you call somebody great like Pam, like Cody, like me, there's at least a dozen people on this call right now. So with that being said, Pam, thank you so much for taking the time to share your travel and your education.
Thank you for being my moderator. Love you, Joe.
All right, everybody, have a kick-ass week. Go make something happen. Somebody out there needs to buy. Somebody needs to sell. Might as well be with you. Go find them.
Thanks, Pam.
Thank you, guys.